Today we're starting with Foundation, I believe, correct?
Absolutely. This is the second mission in the game. Chief is on a mission right now where he is trying to locate the weapon, which we've seen in our previews today. Everyone's aware of that character. And you're moving through a Forerunner dungeon, which is situated below the surface of the ring. And this really leads us into how we've structured the campaign in general. We start in this kind of narrow funnel, in this kind of very classic Halo kind of corridor kind of space. But then the further we go through campaign, the wider and wider that gets. And then when we want to bring you back into some more of that kind of tighter corridor action, we go back into a different dungeon. But really the story is the thing that is gating you as you go. But then, as you're going to see as we go further through this, we also have the expansive world above all these things.
Yeah. And when you say dungeon, that doesn't mean just super tight corridors, like locked in a dark space, right?
Absolutely not. We have huge kind of Forerunner dungeon spaces that are built below the surface. You know, they take, I guess, between like 30 minutes and an hour to complete a whole bunch of them.
So it's more just the linear curated paths is what we're referring to when you say dungeon?
Absolutely. And obviously, just from a purely development perspective, we get to curate some of the storytelling, and we get to curate some of the kind of experience so that we have a much more kind of focused moment. But at the same time, we still encourage players to kind of play these spaces exactly the way they want to.
Forerunner doors, always appreciated, right?
People seem to like them.
I like them. I remember saying, like, dude, let's just show a picture of a Forerunner door and everyone will lose it.
Yeah, and here's a giant Forerunner space as well, which has Silexes moving around in them. This is very much connected to how the story is going to unfold as you play through campaigns.
Yeah. Mysterious, new and kind of thing, Forerunner tech there, right? That's
Absolutely.
kind of why we chose Zeta Halo.
Indeed. I mean, one of the things we really wanted to do with Zeta Halo was we'd take an established location, but one that has a lot of mystery built into it, and also like add in a whole bunch of new mysteries that people don't even know exist at this point. As you can see here, we're in one of our giant rooms where there are multiple routes that you can take through it. The Banished have also dug down into this from the other side. You can see there's a big elevator in the background. So we call it like the banification of these of these kind of zones, but really you can sort of see how it's Forerunner meets Banished, and how the Banished have a plan as well that they're trying to fulfill as you explore the ring.
So storytelling with even just the environment there, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And as creative director, you kind of help make sure that all happens, that comes together?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I spend a lot of time with the story team, with everyone from level design. Everything has story in the game. We really wanted to make sure that it is that kind of classic Halo experience of story-driven missions that are pulling you through our golden path. And really, we wanted you also to be able to go off the golden path and find more story. And all of this helps you piece together the kind of mystery of what is happening in the game.
And there's a lot of mystery on Zeta Halo. So
there is. I mean, our goal from a story perspective was always to make this a mystery story. So the longer you play, the more you find, the more that story will get revealed. And then by the end, when all the pieces have fallen into place, you'll know exactly what's going on.
That's awesome. And I think we've got coming up next, you mentioned you can kind of go about it your own way and explore things. I think we've got some open gameplay coming up next here once we finish off these last folks. But taking out the Jackals. Is this your gameplay?
No, I think this is actually Steve Dick, who's the character director. Character director.
Very cool. Oh my goodness. And we saw this space in one of the trailers, right?
It's absolutely.
Yeah. The elevator coming down. Is it a friend? What if it's a friend?
Yeah. Well, we're not going to show it now, but yes, Tremonius. So I think there's been lots of previews where we revealed it. It's the first boss in the game. We really kind of went to town on the introduction of Tremonius, and really it sets the stage for how bosses work in the rest of the game. And this is Outpost Tremonius, which was named after and this is no spoiler, soon to be dead Tremonius, who used to run this place, but now he doesn't.
Yeah, Chief nicely went around Tremonius.
Chief has removed him from his job. But now this is our kind of first kind of stepping out onto the surface of Zeta Halo. So again, we're widening that funnel, so there are more opportunities for players to just play, explore, and discover new ways to take down the Banished. Even this area, which is, like I say, it's an introduction area to the surface of the ring. There's many things you can go and find. One spoiler, I advise you explore behind most of the structures because there may be things to find.
Yeah, as we were watching this video, it'll pop up here in a second. But there's so much stuff that you can find that you never found before. I've played this space numerous times, and we're about to go to a spot where I hadn't even known there was stuff for Chief to find yet. So Chief comes around back here.
Yeah, I mean, the great thing
And
with
there's
this
all
is...
this UNSC stuff.
Yeah, it's a UNSC cache, right? So it's where the Banished have been capturing and claiming all the UNSC equipment they find. You also have a Spartan core here. The Spartan cores are our kind of currency for upgrading the equipment you have. We've shown obviously the grapple shot a lot.
Yeah.
You're able to then upgrade the grapple shot, and there is the next one you're going to get in the game is the threat sensor, which will enable you to be able to spot and understand exactly where all enemies are around you. And these are fully upgradable as well over time. So it really encourages you to go and get those Spartan cores.
Yeah, and you've got tons of equipment which comes into play in approaching each of these more open spaces however you want, right?
Yeah, that's always been our goal. I mean, we've always used the term super soldier base assault for how we want you to always feel like a super soldier and to be able to assault bases however you want. But I mean, this is a good example. We switched to Xbox One gameplay
Original,
here.
yep.
Yeah, and again, what you can see is we've really worked hard. The whole team has worked incredibly hard to achieve kind of parity between all of our platforms. We haven't removed enemies. We haven't changed objectives. It's the same experience on every single platform that you can play Halo Infinite on.
Maybe a little different performance, right? Different
Absolutely.
hardware gets you different results, but same amount of enemies, right? On the same difficulties.
Yeah.
Nothing's changing gameplay-wise. Okay, that's great to hear. Yeah. But you mentioned Super Soldier Base Assault. Right now, we're going after, I believe it's called Ransom Keep, right?
It is. It's another area where the Banished have taken over part of the ring. They are, as you can see, it's like a kind of half salvage yard. There are fuel silos that you need to destroy. The salvage ties into a story that you're going to learn later in the game about what the Banished are actually up to. So the area itself is kind of storied. Then the more you explore, there are data pads around. The data pads will be telling the story of what has happened over the last 6 months, but from different perspectives. So there's Banished data pads, there's UNSC data pads, and many more.
So you get a little bit of background on what happened while Chief was taking a nap.
Absolutely.
Through those data pads. It helps Chief figure out that mystery, solve that mystery. Okay.
Yeah.
And here he's about to destroy one of the fuel cells, right?
Yep, one of the 4.
Very cool. And now that we're in more of the open space, how did you and the team kind of approach you want to go open world, but you also need to focus the story so everyone follows that same narrative path?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a balancing act for us. We know that from a Halo perspective, all of our fans, all players want to be able to understand and follow that main story, and we didn't want to let them down. So we made the biggest story we could. Right? It's the most. All of our missions take you to through story beats and direct you to the next story beat. But we also don't want to say you have to do it. So at all points, the story will gate your progress, so you can maybe not leave one of our large areas until you have completed that story mission. But as you're moving forward, everything is unlocking behind you, so you can obviously backtrack. At the same time, we try and put things on your path, so if you don't want to engage in the story, or if you just want to get distracted, go look for Spartan cores, get some more audio logs, or perhaps find some of the other mysteries that are dotted around, you can, and nothing stops you. One of the examples we have around the world is we have HVTs who are like high-ranking, banished, let's just say killers for the sake of this conversation.
Yeah.
But they're
HVTs means high value
targets. They're the members of the Banished that have got dossiers from the UNSC that they're kind of unpleasant characters, and
we should probably take them out.
Yeah, we should take them out. So they're out in the world. In fact, actually, what you can see now is one of the other things that we've tried to work really hard on that ties into the HVTs, that ties into everything else. We want you to be able to just load up a vehicle with Marines and go and have fun at any point in the game. So once you have rescued Marines, you can take them with you. The story doesn't stop you from doing that. And the way you get those Marines is by rescuing them at these UNSC events you can see right now. Once you get them, you get Valor Points. The Valor Points enable you to upgrade your fobs. The fobs then become fast travel points, and also areas that you can return to. You can collect more Marines. You can get more vehicles.
You can like have upgraded Marines even, right? We saw some
yeah.
of them had armor and gear.
So the most fun activity is you go to an HVT. It's too hard to do. Right? So you go out into the world. You get some more Valor Points. You get different vehicles. You upgrade some Spartan ability equipment, and then you just load up this vehicle and just take it straight into the thing that was hurting you before, and you just bring a whole bunch of Marines with you.
A full squad like that can be pretty intimidating. They got the infinite ammo rocket, of course. Always
Absolutely.
make sure your Marine has a rocket.
And there's a kind of a funny story behind this as well, because when we released that campaign trailer, we weren't actually expecting a meme to come up about, that you're safe now. But the funny thing is, they actually were safe in that.
Oh, they landed? They
in
landed?
That video. So we wanted to prove it to people. So
Oh,
here's a good example where we are just going to take that group of Marines.
We had to load them up into Razorback, extra people.
And
That's a heck of a jump.
It is, and it's one of those funny kind of anecdotal moments, both for players when they do things like this, but also for us as in the team, because we genuinely didn't think we were going to pull it off, and we actually did it first time in this particular instance. Because when you're trying to make this footage, it's usually a lot more challenging because it's kind of a chaotic environment, right?
Yeah.
Because everything is behaving dynamically around you when you're playing. But yeah, first time.
Wow, that is awesome. I was about to start asking about how do you explore the map and navigate, or the world and navigate it, and the TAC map comes up.
Well, as we were talking about before, like we always say, there's your next objective. So in this case, your next objective, from a story perspective, is going to the excavation site. But as you can also see, there are the fobs that you haven't claimed at this point. And every time you get a fob, it will reveal every UNSC element around that area. So like you will learn the locations of the HVTs, for example. You will learn where the UNSC events are. You will see about the banished bases. And talking of banished bases, you can see this is a different area of the game where, again, we try not to force you on a path. So in this instance, we're a bit further in the game, but you can have walked all the way here or driven all the way here, but there was also an opportunity just to grab a Banshee, hijack a Banshee.
I usually have driven up this path, kind of coming up the road. I have never taken a Banshee up this way in my playthroughs, so it was cool to see this.
And it really just builds on the philosophy in which how we've developed the game. Like we always want the game to say yes. So if you think, can I do that? The game tries its best to say yes, you can, which has always been the great thing about Halo. And we just tried to take that into this bigger open space.
Yeah, the moments of what if this works, right? And then it all actually plays out exactly as you envisioned in your mind. That is what makes Halo so special, right?
Yeah,
multiplayer and campaign.
Absolutely. It's like kind of, especially from campaign, it's like organized chaos where you're trying to be the ringleader of ensuring everything works and then bring in a few new instruments into that just to see what happens.
Yeah, this gameplay is sweet. He grappled a rocket launcher to himself earlier. Now he grapples a sword to himself.
Absolutely.
Dang. So right now, he's approaching this tower, and do we know why Chief is approaching this tower? It's story elements,
so
right? We're directing him there.
The tower is a story element in this kind of second third of the game. I'm not obviously going to go into the exact reason why you're doing it, but there are multiple objectives that you need to achieve to move the story forward. So we're in this area. There are 4 towers in this area, and I think this is one of our biggest spaces in the game. So there are many different ways you can approach those. As you saw, we were in the Banshee. My favorite is always to make sure I've done all the fobs beforehand and try and get a Scorpion into these areas.
I've never done enough to get my Valor up to call in Scorpions. I just try and go through because I love the story. So I'm like, I just want to get the experience again and again in my playthroughs.
Well, I think it really speaks to that kind of sense of you play it the way you want to. You just forget what you can do sometimes. Like I was playing this with Steve again, and he was berating me for always trying to get a Scorpion and bringing it through the thing. But it was fun in that moment, and I chose to do it that way. But you can literally try and solve these problems however you want.
Mm-hmm. And I did put out a Twitter call for questions. And we've talked about, most of these questions have been asked by people out there. There was one that I wanted to touch on, which is, can you continue to explore the open world after you've finished the game?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
What happens is when the main story is completed, you're brought back to Outpost Tremonius, which is that first place we saw where there is an FOB, and you will be able to continue from there. The world is full of dynamic events, so they will continue. But